Cincinnati, Ohio, the home of the 37th Annual National Veterans Wheelchair Games. Just saw a great basketball game between Team 1, the black team, which you might recognize this guy. Didn't leave his black jersey on. I was hoping he would. Sean Castle, Michael Caratanero. They took on the white team. The white team just slipped by with the victory, but now we have the white team, well, going back-to-back no matter what. They'll be taking on the gold team. But, hey, good game, obviously. Very good game.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
First day out here, though. I mean, first day, like, hoops, little nerves, little fun. But
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things, you know, and I've played in a lot of games, a lot of big games in my career and everything. But one thing, no matter what, every time I roll on the court, I get that little bit of nervous energy, that little bit, all right, here we go. And it takes a couple seconds for anybody to settle back into it. And, you know, once you do, and it's, you know, like, you know, riding a bike again, you get right back into it and go.
Well, but this game right now, I mean, you played the white team.
Yeah.
You got pretty good players, obviously.
Very good, yeah.
The way they split it up, all your teams are pretty equal. I mean, there's very good players on every team.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, the gold team, what do they have cut out
you know
for
what?
them
here? I'll tell you right now. When you got the white team, the one thing that they've got to look at is they're going back to back. They ran against us for 40 straight minutes, and we pushed them. Now with the gold team, you've got some really good experienced players. You got Booker out there, who's phenomenal. His shot from the 45, he can knock it down at any moment. George, who's got unbelievable experience, who knows how to pick and seal, get the big guys in. So if I'm white, I'm definitely looking to make sure I keep Booker out of his 45 rhythm shot. And if I'm white, get the big man down low again. Get it to number 14 and let him eat. That's a strategy to beat gold.
Well, you guys are doing it too with Frank Johnson, obviously.
Yeah.
You're throwing it down to him a lot.
Yeah.
But first day out here in basketball, I mean, like you said, nerves, but I mean, expectations, what can we expect? I mean, fun atmosphere, obviously a lot of people watching, a lot of people coming out here enjoying it. What's to expect from the teams, though?
Honestly, I think especially with gold, you know, white's got that nervousness out of the way. You know, they've played the game even though they're a little bit tired. Gold, you know, that's the nerves. They're playing in the late game. They're playing in front of the bigger crowd. They're playing in front of, you know, everybody who's coming to see this, you know, on live stream now and everything. So if they can settle the nerves early and they can keep that big out of the paint, you know, we're going to see a really good basketball game. We're going to see an evenly matched basketball game. Well,
we'll talk more about it as the game goes on. This guy, even though he might not have the most stylish of shirts on for some, but he is in enemy territory, in Ohio State territory. But that being said, we're going to step aside real quick. When we get back, we'll have the game against Team White and Team Gold here from the 37th Annual National Veterans Wheelchair Games from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, I'll watch him. He's good. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, get it out of the way. Yeah. No, it's not bothering me at all, actually. What's bothering me are the comments about Alabama. No, you know what? My wife probably – I haven't even checked my phone since the game ended. My wife probably already went to sleep. Jeff's? Yeah. Oh, were you talking trash about me?
But I
wouldn't. No, it didn't.
Oh, okay. Well,
my wife probably fell asleep to beer.
Oh, no.
No. So it's coming over our shoulder, right? And then roving cams?
Oh, no. He's basically just shooting from that's our camera for this court, and that camera is for that court.
Gotcha.
So they're streaming that court, too, but just the stream.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, I'll just come back, starting lineups, and then my only thing is just let me, I've talked mostly, like, with Jeff, we were talking about different things and stuff throughout the game, but, like, plays, just let me finish up. Whatever you see, you can comment on. I'll talk to you. I'll make fun of your shirt, whatever.
Toss it to me. Yeah, you're good.
We can talk about how you wish you had the scenery that ASU had.
Yeah, and ASU wishes they had the titles we have.
Oh, no. We have more in golf. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough sport.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because so many people master it.
Hey, there's country clubs around the world filled with old men in funny pants.
Back here in Cincinnati, the Duke Energy Convention Center, the Queen City, the 37th Annual National Veterans Wheelchair Games, co-sponsored by the Paralyzed Veterans of America and the Department of Veteran Affairs, as we get reset for the tip-off. The white team, well, yes, we did just see them, but they will go, they'll tweak the starting lineup just a little bit. Actually, in the starting lineup for the white team, that is number 11, Kevin Tenney, but number 14, Antoine Gray is there, along with number 5, Jesse Lynn, number 1, Robert Jones, number 12, Sam Locklear are the 5 on the court for the white team. And for gold, we have number 12, that is Steve O'Brien. Number 14 is George Norton. Number 1 is Booker Foster. Number 4 is Harold Hack, pardon me, that's not an X, that's a K. Oh, wow. Hacks. I mean, it's still a great basketball name.
Great
either
basketball
way,
name,
yeah. And he is number 4. And then number 00, Carl Morgan, is the 5th starter for Team Gold, which is the home team. Again, he played in the first game. Sean Castle, I know it's no royalties, but did you ever watch that show?
Castle? No, I haven't. It's a very good show. Yeah. I'm stuck with Game of Thrones right now.
Oh, okay.
But
Castle started way before Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but it's I'm not getting royalties, so I'm not watching.
Okay, I'm just saying it's an addicting show, though. If you start watching it, it'll be like, oh. And the jump ball won by Team White. Now, you just played Team White like we talked about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Antoine Gray down low, but it seemed like there's a little bit of part there in the second half. You guys started to make a run back in. Him and Robert Jones were.
Who just hit the 2.
Yeah, who hit the 2. We're having a little bit too much conversation.
who just hit the 2, yeah.
And Jesse and Jesse Lynn in the timeout got everybody over. Was like, hey, come on, let's go, because you guys, we were breaking. But
yeah,
and like I was saying to Jeff, I mean, DeLeon, who joined us on the first broadcast, that we all start playing sports and we're all ultra competitive. So the fact that you guys served in, I always, when you see things in movies, but I think of Transformers, the first one, when John Voight said to John Turturro, he goes, I would give him what he wants. These guys, they're trained to win. They don't lose. They don't lose.
Yeah, they're not trained to lose.
But yeah, I mean, and granted, you guys are here for a great event, but inevitably still want to win the competitive.
Absolutely.
Like you said, maybe a little bit of a friendly trash talking, friendly banter is what I call the trash talking. But, I mean, when you come out here and you to start, you're playing with, a lot of guys you haven't played with before, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and that's one of the best parts about the game is that even though when you get here, you don't know exactly which team you're going to be on, you don't know the players, this and that, you get an opportunity to play with a many different group of players, but also you get the opportunity to mentor the younger players who've never, the novices, who've never been at this games before, and that's a big part of it, especially with my team. We had 3 guys who've never played wheelchair basketball before. Nice. So you put them in the lineup and you teach them, you bring them along, and you want them to get the experience of these games to want to come back. And then when they get back out, when they get home, that they seek out a basketball club. They get that itch to play. And
did you know that there's a 30-second shot clock? Because in my rules research, I didn't do that. And it's funny because it took me, I shouldn't say us. Jeff obviously knew, but I didn't worry about it because when I heard a whistle, I was like, wait, where was the foul? And he goes, oh, no, it was a shot clock violation. There was 1:32 left in the first half. I go, well, at least I'm telling you viewers now that didn't know there is a shot clock, and some of us overlooked that part, which is my bad. But, yeah, 30-second shot clock as well. But, yeah, I mean, and talk about it because the opening ceremonies yesterday were, absolutely awesome. Yeah. I mean, just to be there. And I was telling Jeff, I thought when I saw the states come in that you basically formed teams from your own state and went that way. But then I'm like, wow, then there'd be like 50 basketball teams and 50 rugby teams possibly. And bowling's one. Well, I want to be out of bowling. I'm sorry. Basketball's awesome, but at some point, I do want to hit the bowling alley.
You should check it out. It's actually really great to watch.
But you're mixed in with, and Jeff was saying how, ones, twos, and three, how you guys are separated. The points. But with people from all over. And I said it kind of correlates to just, again, being in the military. You go through boot camps, whether it's, from – what Air Force is like, he's basically from 8 to 12, 8 weeks, and 12 weeks could be the longest for boot camp, but you go through with different guys. You get different assignments, but, you still kind of keep in touch, but you have to adapt to get used to being with different people.
Exactly. Well, that's the big thing, and it correlates from the military perfectly because in the military we're taught adapt and overcome, and this is a perfect situation, an example of adapt and overcome. You get to the games, you meet the guys literally as you're getting on the court, and then – you have to figure out how are we going to come together as a unit, and you have to figure it out quick because most of the time you got 30 minutes before the game starts to go, okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is the role you're fit, this is how everything is going to go. So it's a perfect military thing to come back here and go, all right, guys, adapt and overcome.
Right. And like you said, a mix of people that haven't played before to ones that have. again, playing basketball, hey, get the ball in the hoop. Obviously, your guys' rules. He explained the traveling, obviously the hooking, which I found very interesting.
Yeah.
And, of course, now that Jeff's playing, I don't want to give it away because maybe the rest were listening. But his sandbagging of the 3 or 4 second call of making an effort to get out of the lane, and his wheels are kind of maybe spinning but just staying still. Because I said, if somebody's blocking you, and look at that, Booker Foster hits the free throw, and they are – I want to say they're up 3-2 because I thought he hit the shot.
No, it was 2. It was 2-1. Yeah, it was hit 2 free throws. And Booker's definitely on gold. Booker's a point scorer. He's the one they've got to watch out for. If they have a chance of winning this game, going back-to-back games to win, they have to shut down Booker. If they let him get going, he could put up 30 easily.
Well, we'll see. Team White, if they're – I mean, they definitely got the like you said, the cobwebs off, going, but back and forth again. The only time it slowed down is when you guys had to try to play the foul game and commit 5 fouls in about – if you only had 1 and you had to get to 7, so 6 fouls, and it took a little bit of time off the clock, but you made that run. But, yeah, they a little bit of energy there as that shot a little short and goes out of bounds, be gold ball. But, yeah, I mean, when you look at it, too, and I did tell Jeff now, since he was broadcasting first, that he is in charge next year of, I know you guys do the drawing before today.
Yeah.
So Team 1, they can be whatever color, but it is the teams. And he was Facebook Living this.
Oh, was he?
So I'm sure you guys have some of the same friends maybe
absolutely.
on Facebook Live, and there was a lot of people watching. We also let your friends know that you came over to us at halftime and said, when we talked about team names, that your team name next year was going to be War Eagle. And I think his Facebook line started to blow up when he said that.
I don't know if you're allowed to cuss on broadcast, but where I'm from, those 2 words are cuss words. So I think we need to keep this a family-friendly show, and in live stream. We'll say that. We'll save any of those, a discussion about that, that cow college down south for later.
Well, hey, he went to Oregon. He's a Duck, so
he is an Oregon Duck.
He had all respect for ASU. I told him there's only 11 schools in the Pac-12, and the 12th is the one south of Tempe that that I have respect. Not be I might respect to certain things, but definitely not a big fan of at times. But 4-2 as White gets the hoop there, and yeah, I mean it's like I said, and he was saying that basically the first wheelchair basketball. Oh, look at the jumper. Well,
Booker.
I did it like 4 times. I keep saying, he goes, Mike, it is a jumper. It is our jumper. That's what Jeff was saying. He goes, it's just such habit from calling basketball. And when you actually you kept your balance out one time, but Frank too there was a little traffic jam. He goes up, he goes forward, he comes back down, and he just puts the shot in. I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's part of the point system. You get Frank himself is actually a 3, so he's got that core ability. He's still got that core, and that's what you work on. Is you get that core, so you can tip, you can tilt, you can do all those things, and you can still come back down and make the shot. That's where you won't see a lot of the low Class 1s do that, but Class 2s and most definitely Class 3s were able to get up and keep their balance and hit that shot.
Right. Well, and I was going to say, though, on that note, Frank, also, I said it. I go, oh, look at that fadeaway. And Jeff, yeah, that's what it is, because Jared's going back, and he put that shot up. I was like, come on. I'm like, but from World War II, see, I got a history lesson saying that was actually a lot of guys came back, and they didn't know where to put him. And they said they got a hoop, and they started playing basketball in their wheelchairs. I go, see, that's why. I know every generation after that can say, oh, whatever, but that's why they were just the greatest generation.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt. And both my grandfathers served in World War II.
What branch?
My grandfather on my mother's side was in the Army. He was in Pat and Stank Army. He got a Bronze Star at Bastogne. And my other grandfather served in, it was the Army Air Corps at the time.
Okay.
And they both served in Europe, in the European theater.
Yeah, my grandpa was in the Army, too. On my mom's side, he was in Northern Africa. I think he was in... He wasn't in Russia. He was in Northern Africa for a while, and then he was in France and Germany.
Okay.
France for a little bit, but I don't. Yeah, sorry, but yeah, I mean.
Especially during that war, everybody served everywhere.
Yeah,
everybody served everywhere. They would go overseas. It's not like now a lot of times where you get deployed for a year, you come home. That was you went over, and when the war was over, then you came home.
Right.
So there's no doubt they probably served in a lot of places for sure.
6-4, the score. We get they call the timeout a lot faster than you guys did. Jeff and I are going back and forth, and we're talking, and I'm like, I'm like, we haven't had a timeout. In the full first half, we're giving you a hard time, no timeout.
Well, the strategy was to try and wear them down, and it
we were
worked.
wearing each other down. I mean, it may have worked.
It worked a little bit, but our team wore down just as much. So, we're trying to keep the pace. But another thing is that once you get, especially in this game, it's a lot of times just a fast break constantly. That's part of the game, so you kind of get wrapped up into it. And if the game's tight, it was, we were 1 point back and forth for most of the first half. So you get that close, and there, a lot of times you don't want to break that momentum. You don't want to hit that timeout and then break it. So it's like, if we can get up a couple more points, then we'll take the timeout. Didn't quite get that way. And then, late in the first half is when we finally took it.
Well, these two teams are getting a little more physical early, although I guess they're trying to wear out Antoine a little bit more, but he will go to the free throw line with his team up by 2. So were you in the Army as well?
Yeah, I was a military police officer and protective service agent, 529th MP Company, Heidelberg, Germany.
Ah, so you were overseas.
I was, yeah. I spent all 5 years stationed in Heidelberg, deployed 3 different times out of there. Got hurt in a training accident and ended up back stateside with a spinal cord injury.
I've been to Germany.
You've been to Germany?
I've been to Germany, yeah. Germany and Spain.
Where in Germany, may I ask?
I started in Munich.
Okay.
I was staying with one of my friends. She was in Munich, but for New Year's, I got to go to Berlin.
Oh,
which was
Berlin's wonderful.
Munich was awesome too, but they love to tell you on the bus tours how Bavaria is the most expensive city in Germany. Look at that, right down the lane.
I'm telling
for number 14, George Norton.
The wonderful thing about George is George has been playing at these games for years. George is, in his upper 60s and is still out here competing with these young guys and has, the veteran thing where, sometimes age and experience can beat youth. And that is a perfect example of that. He saw the lane perfectly wide open and went straight down, hit the hoop.
Little stoppage right there. Oh, the shot is up, rolls around. Nice defense, discipline there by Jatiah Taylor. Number 13, she's in the game. Saw her hitting some nice free throw shots before the game. She had a good touch warming up as Booker goes, look at that, right to the hoop for Booker Foster. And now Gold is up 8-6. Or no, we're tied at 8. Pardon me, I missed White's hoop, but 8-8 is the score.
And you've got the big Antoine Gray out here. And Antoine plays for University of Texas at Arlington. He just actually won a national title this year for the University of Texas at Arlington. And he is a big prospect, and especially coming back there, part of their big chances to get back to the national title next year is his development. So he won't wear out easy. This is his second game back-to-back, but he is used to playing tough physical college games all year long. So this isn't going to wear him out. They're going to have to find a way to keep him out of the paint.
Now, yeah, you were talking before the game, and even before I got here, I was looking up. I know conferences, schools, but not all schools have the, wheelchair competition yet, you're saying.
Yeah.
How many do right now? Because I want to say, I think if I counted like 25, but I think there might be more.
There's more than that. Not everybody has wheelchair basketball. Not everybody has wheelchair rugby. Not everybody has all that. But competitively, there's over 50 schools right now that offer some form of adapted athletics.
Okay.
And again, it varies per school. You have the bigger schools, Alabama, University of Texas. Oh, almost winning. University of Texas, Illinois, Mizzou has teams. University of Wisconsin at Whitewater, who is a perennial powerhouse.
Yeah.
They're smaller school, but perennial powerhouse.
Yeah.
They put more Paralympians, overseas winning gold medals than any other school. They're the biggies, but there are a lot of up-and-coming schools. As much as I hate to say this, Auburn is a team to watch out for. If you're going to watch wheelchair basketball, collegiate wheelchair basketball, they have done a wonderful job recruiting and bringing in some really good young players. And they're going to be a force to be reckoned with not too far along.
And it's great, like I said, because Jeff and I were talking about it. I mean, just like serving or not, like growing up playing sports, you want to come back over. And again, unfortunately, like I said, you get an injury and something happens, or, you can't play to the same level. And you still want to get out there and compete. And the fact that college is, again, going in that direction. I'm sure it's. Oh, look at Antoine again with the free throw. But the Title IX, obviously, for women's sports, we have to have equal amount of women's and men's sports. And I know going into that, but you guys can combine both, so you don't really have to worry about that because the men and the women playing from playing on the teams.
Well, actually, we and there are, I believe, right now 8 different colleges that offer just women's wheelchair basketball. And Alabama, again, very proud, is a perennial, champion. At one run, we had 3 national titles in a row for our women. Our women just won the national title again this year. So it's actually not okay. We have to combine. The sport has grown so much that the universities can offer men and women's programs. So it's gotten a lot bigger, especially with the veterans coming in. That's a big thing that I talk to a lot of veterans about. Is, hey, I know you're thinking about going back to college. Have you thought about doing it with sports? You can go back and you can be a collegiate athlete like me. I'm about to graduate and then go play professional. You can have everything you thought you had before, and guess what?
And
now
with
you're
the GI Bill too. I mean,
absolutely.
You're getting school, so it's not like you have to worry about a scholarship. I mean, I know you still got to keep the grades because they're not going to mess around. I mean,
no.
If you're on an athletic scholarship or GI Bill, same thing. You're going to screw around and be like, well, okay, have.
Absolutely. Yeah, in the University of Alabama and every other school is the same way. Your minimum 2.5, everybody shoots for a 3.0 you have to have. But again, if you're a veteran, you're already used to I have to keep my, nose to the grindstone. I have to work hard. I've got to be motivated. I've got to make sure all my stuff is in line. And then you've got that type of athlete that you put back in your university is going to do wonders for them because you've already got a guy who's used to adapting and overcome like we're seeing here when you put the teams together. You got a guy who's used to the adversity and the hard training. So Antoine, again, putting that shot up.
I was going to say Robert Jones put the shot up, and I thought he had it just – straight shot, hit the rim, goes right back to him, and then, of course, gets into the hands of Antoine Gray, and White is now up 12-10. But the gold team not really going anywhere is in the corner with the ball as Steve O'Brien will get it back out. See Booker Foster, and Sean said he could put up 30 as he's going to the baseline now. Look at that, puts up that shot. Look at the rotation, nice
Beautiful.
And smooth, and Foster ties this game up at 12:25 left to go here in the first half.
And that's Booker's little baseline shot. That's what he does. He's going to get down to that baseline. Doesn't matter if there's a big in his hand or not. He can knock that down at any time. And if White doesn't figure out how to get a hand in his face, do something, if White doesn't figure out how to get a hand in his face or shut him down quick, he could light it up. I mean, they could go on a run quick. White looks really tired out there right now, and Booker's definitely full of energy.
Yeah, I was going to say from White, I know – want to get into a flow. Oh, very nice. You want to get into a flow, but I would start using the bench a little bit, just rotating in and out. It's nice tap
block.
Away there by Robert Jones. So you're graduating, and then you're going. You were talking about yesterday, but you're going over to France to play.
I am. I'm graduating August 5th, and then the beginning of September, I'm going to head to Marseille, France, in the south of France, and play professional basketball there. They're in the highest division in Europe. They were third place last year, and they're bringing myself and a couple other American players over to try and help push them over the top. It's a wonderful experience, and it's one of those things that is available to wheelchair athletes, and most people don't realize.
Right.
There are professional leagues in Europe. The first time I went over, we played in a town called Hyères, France, which is in the south of France. Yeah. Beautiful place and everything. But I wasn't prepared for what I was about to roll into. I roll into it, and it's almost like Thunderdome from Mad Max. And I swear to God, the people were hanging over us. There was almost 1,000 people there. They had vuvuzelas, they had the noisemakers, they had the band. It was a very surreal experience because in the States, we don't get that kind of exposure yet. It's a game that's still growing among the American
That's
crowd.
what I was saying to Jeff, too. I mean, it's like haven't watched stuff on TV before, but like the Paralympics. I mean, I'd always watched those after the Olympics, and it was one of those things where I'm just like so hooked. I mean, veterans are not like people just overcoming this, and I mean, to see people running, I mean, with the way and you've obviously the technology you've seen being in the armed forces, but I mean, the reshaping of the prosthetics, I mean, for the runners, I'm like, that is insane to learn. I'm like, honestly, I know some couldn't compete because I know the whole thing. I know, unfortunately, he's in jail the whole trial, but Oscar Pistorius, I mean, wanted to go in the regular Olympics. He's like, I shouldn't. Yeah, they have this, but I should be able to run because this is what I have to have for legs. And I don't think he would have beat the world-class runners, but he should. If he wanted to compete, I get it, but I also get the other side of, this is why we set this up for you because it's one of those things where.
But here's the thing, and you make a very good point about the equipment. One of the things I like to point out, and they always say you're a wheelchair athlete, and I say, no, we're not. We're athletes who use wheelchair as our equipment. It is a form of equipment, just like if you're wearing a helmet and shoulder pads in football, or the right shoes in basketball, or a bat and a glove in baseball. This is the equipment we have to use to play our sport. But we are not wheelchair athletes. We are athletes who use wheelchairs to play our sport. So as our equipment gets better, like you're talking about Oscar Pistorius, you know, and everything like that, and it's like this is what his equipment is to participate in this sport. So he's not not at an advantage.
But when Jeff and I were talking about the balance, and I know we mentioned it too early on, as we are all tied up at 12 here. But I mean, just to see the curvature of those prosthetics, I mean, the balance alone to run and stay up. To me, I'm like, I mean, it's just addicting to watch. It's like people say you just. I'm like, of course, and people are like, oh, I love watching. I'm like, it's one of those things where it's crazy addicting. It's like I always dare people to Winter Olympics if they're overseas and the time, if it's late at night here, if you're flipping through the TV, for people that still flip through, but if you're flipping through the channels, the layup missed there, and if curling comes on, try to change the channel.
Oh, I know, and I'm the same way.
I mean, honestly, I want to curl every 4 years.
I was shocked that I would like curling, and I really did. It's one of those things that once people get exposed to the sport, you know, you go, oh, you know, wheelchair is very nice. They've got wheelchair sports. That's very nice. But I dare anybody to watch these sports and not go, wow.
Well, I was telling you yesterday when we talked. I mean, the first time I went to the rugby, I was like, they're not cheap shot, and I was saying the same thing to Jeff. They're not cheap shot, but I mean, they're colliding. Guys fall down, and with the rugby rage that I was at with. David, who's here, but it was if the chair went down, they had to wait for the coach to come out, put a mat down, and then help them up because obviously they were on a regular gym floor. They didn't want to scratch.
They didn't want to scratch up the floor.
But at the same time, you see some guys want to pop back up with those little tiny auxiliary wheels they have on those, like pop out.
The 6 wheels, yeah.
So you can't really put. So you have to have somebody help you up. But yeah, I mean, but just to see the competition and like I was saying, the competition and. I mean, the skill, I mean, like setting screens, people moving around, and just the fast movements. I mean, you're right. It's your equipment, and when you master it, it's hard. It's the same as curling. It's hard not to watch.
Absolutely. Well, and you're talking about rugby especially. You know, I live in Alabama, and you have Birmingham, Alabama, which has the Lakeshore Foundation, which is the home of USA Wheelchair Rugby. And actually, what most people don't know is, or they've heard introduction, you may not know this. You know the original name of wheelchair rugby, don't you?
Oh, murder ball.
Murder ball.
Yeah.
And
not marketable. Not marketable.
Exactly. But that's the thing.
We love the name.
Absolutely. But the thing is, it takes the reason they had to get rid of it because it doesn't actually portray what these guys are doing.
No.
What the skill that goes into it. It portrays, okay, you're just smashing into each other, and that's not the truth. The skill level, the hard work, you know what I mean? Like the agility that they're doing. And you got to remember, at that level, all those guys are quadriplegics. They're not paras. Paras cannot play international wheelchair rugby. You have to be a quadriplegic.
Really?
So if you're watching wheelchair rugby at that level, everybody you will see here playing wheelchair rugby is a quadriplegic. So they don't have full use of all 4 limbs, and they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, because there was one gentleman that was there that, his arm was amputated here. So, I mean, he was basically pushing with the one, holding the ball like this when he could have gotten. He scored so many points. I was like, oh, my goodness.
One of the best players I've ever seen, one of the best players the United States has ever had is a gentleman by the name of Bob Lejano. Bob was actually in Murder Ball, the documentary, but Bob is actually a quadruple amp. And he is one of the best players this country's ever had, is a gold medalist in it. Travels the world teaching people how to play wheelchair rugby. I mean, you want to see somebody that will, inspire you, but my God, you want to see an athlete? You go watch Bob Lejano. Just unbelievable.
You're right. No, like I said, seeing that and other players, and a lot of them had use of like their arms and look at that Booker finally. I was about to say to you, man, we've been talking and going back and forth as our viewers can see a few shots missed, but a little scoring drought. Like you guys, sorry. I don't mean to bring up Salt, but that was a big scoring drought to start the second half.
But one of the other things I'd like to point out to the fans here that are watching is this is a much different environment than most of us are used to playing. We're mostly used to playing in hardwood gyms, basketball courts, and all this. This is a different environment. You've got the lights up. You know what I mean? You got fans watching. You got cameras now that are watching. So
and that's what Jeff and I are saying. It's not these rims. Well, for both of you guys at some point too, because even when you took on the white team, as Booker hits the free throw and puts the gold team up by 3, 15-12, nobody was getting home court rolls.
No.
I mean, but in the second half, after you hit that hoop, I mean, white team started to get some in the second half. But then when you finally hit your first hoop, I was like, well, the drought's over, and But yeah, you got to get used to the rims, and the depth perception is always a teeny bit different too.
Yeah, and the courts too. The courts
Right,
the courts are made of plastic blocks
Yep.
that interconnect. So it's a really different. It's as you roll along, and there's dips in the court. It's a whole different environment. So especially the first game, it's a lot about feeling out what is different now, what you're not used to anymore. So getting out and get the feels out, and if you can get that out in the first half of the first game, then you're golden. But right now it kind of looks like white. The first game kind of tired them out a bit. So I would expect, honestly, that gold starts to go on a little bit of a run here and gets up a little bit.
Looks like gold's going to have a substitution coming in as well. That is number 5. Julius Lee will check in. And checking out is 00 Carl Morgan.
See Booker here pressing up a little bit, making sure they touch the ball, trying to press in on him.
I was asking Jeff, I was saying, are you guys not allowed to press? I go, I didn't see that when I look. He goes, no, you can. I go, I'm surprised they're not pressing. I know it takes more energy out. Believe me, in regular basketball, when our coaches were like press, I was like, oh, come on, man.
Well, part of the problem here is you have a lot of novice players, or you have a lot of players who play club teams that don't actually work on the press. And wheelchair press is a lot different because it has to be interconnected. It has to be 5 players layering and slowly moving the retreat back. And it's not, okay, we can put 1 or 2 guys up here. Some schools can run that, but it's not really the way it's done.
Right.
And you come here and you're working with people you never worked with before. So trying to go, let's go the press, it can be very detrimental because all they got to do is launch it over the top.
Right.
So if you don't know exactly what you're doing, it can be hard. That's why we went to the later and we're like, okay, we'll put a 1-man press up, or I'll kind of press a little bit, and then to the foul strategy of slowing the game down. So it's a different environment.
You made a run late there. I mean, you got a 5, but the clock was the enemy. Like I said, the 3-pointer is up and in.
Booker.
And look at that. Booker Foster has a chance for a 4-point play, which is very, very rare. Even in the NBA, you don't see that too often. College, NBA, high school.
And like I was saying before the game started, if they don't find a way to get a hand in Booker's face, if I'm playing Booker, which I believe we are tomorrow night, if I'm playing Booker, I have 2 guys dedicated and trained on him at all times. Not disrespecting anybody on the gold team, but he is their main threat. He is the guy you have to stop, and if you're going to let him eat, he's going to all game.
Well, I did it right there. They take a timeout. We'll do that with them as the score is 18-12. The gold team leading, 7:59 left to go here in the first half. More from the 37th Annual National Veterans Wheelchair Games, co-sponsored by the Paralyzed Veterans of America and the Department of Veteran Affairs. Back here at the Duke Energy Convention Center in the Queen City of Cincinnati, Ohio, the 37th Annual National Veterans Wheelchair Games. Again, co-sponsored by the Paralyzed Veterans of America and the Department of Veteran Affairs, alongside Sean Castle. Maybe not as smart as Jeff because of his choice of teams. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Michael Caratanudo. But, yeah, Jeff, he was, I don't know, if you get to go back and hear it, I mean, I couldn't really be disrespectful to my color analyst, so I just kind of had to go along with him.
Well, I'll just say this. While I'm doing color, I'm doing color right now. We will see each other tomorrow night. So,
and that's what I was talking to him about, too. I mean, because the different branches, I know, like, he was in the Navy.
He was,
and I know a lot of friends that, I know people that were in the Marines, and my grandpa, like I was saying, was in World War II and the Korean War, and he knew, Marines, and when they would get together with some of the other some of their other friends, if they were in the, the Navy, the Marine guys would try and talk to him, and they're like, that's okay, you report to the Secretary of the Navy, buddy. And it was always that little
jab. Yeah, there's always a little inner, an inner service, their little rivalry.
And that's what I said to him is great because you're sitting there as we're out of the timeout. Oh, look at that, the nice hoop there. I think that was Sam Ballard, 0-0, getting in the scoring act for Team White, gets them back to within 4. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, but when you're on the field and, all kidding aside, we were talking about, every campus has their veterans, but, having been at ASU when Pat Tillman was there and actually having friends that knew him and being introduced to him and just talking to him, whenever I saw him and, it was people were like, man, this is crazy. I'm like, I'm not BFS with him, but I'm telling you the time I talked to him, and look at that, Booker gets to the lane with the one-handed shot, puts his team back up by 6. But just getting to talk to him, one of the times we were out at it was parents' weekend, and my parents came to a game, and we're at a pizza place afterwards. He's behind us in line. He goes, oh, hey, Mike, how you doing? I started talking to him. He's talking to my parents like 10, 15. It's like, okay, you're a college athlete. You're not a pro. But, there's some guys that still athletes that, if they decide, oh, hey, whatever, or just, wouldn't say anything, wouldn't bother me. Just talking to my parents for, talking to them about different stuff. It was crazy. And it was just crazy because it's like, wow. And then when he did it, it's like, man, it's like I'm not shocked. And then, whenever the way everything went down, it's tough. But he's, his interview, which I'm sure a lot of people in the service, he's like, I haven't done a damn thing, this and that. And, to leave, like you said, the opportunities to go overseas, but you happen to leave any professional league and go in and serve. I've talked to a lot of people that just, said, oh, my family did it. And, I always wanted to do it, but it's just crazy. Nice shot there real quick. That was number 12, Steve O'Brien.
Well, with Pat especially, if you talk to any veteran, especially any veteran here, I guarantee you, if someone comes up and says, thank you for your service, I guarantee you the response will be, thank you, but I just did my job. And that's the case. I just did my job. And with Pat, he left a profession where he could make millions of dollars to dedicate to his country and gave the ultimate sacrifice to his country. Those are heroes. Right. The men and women who didn't get to come home, those are heroes. Everybody else here, we served, we did our jobs, we're veterans, we're very proud of it, but we got to come home.
Right.
That's why, the advantage, the opportunity to come to the National Veterans Wheelchair Games and continue on with life is not something that any of us take lightly. It's something we enjoy, and we're very, we look forward to it every year, that we get to come out and see our brothers and see our sisters and get together again and experience and talk about old times and talk about good times and everything. But we understand the weight we have of, we came home, injured or not. We came home. Right. So we take advantage of it as much as we can, and this game's a perfect example of that.
And then which games is this for you?
This is 6. This is number 6 for me, yeah. My first games was in Tampa, Florida. It was a wonderful experience. Loved it. I got addicted to it. As many guys, the novice athletes, you get addicted to it. Absolutely, yeah. And I've met so many wonderful people. And, we joke about Jeff, but Jeff has been a big influence on my life. That first year I met him, I met Orlando Perez. And Orlando, if you're watching, miss you, buddy. Wish you're here. Anthony Pone, same deal. I met these guys, and they went, Sean, there's colleges you can go to, and there's pro leagues you can go to, and God, if you put in the work, there could be something there. And they kind of opened the door for me, and they mentored me, and as a novice athlete, and goes, this is what you can do. Oh, fix this with your chair. Try this, try this, try this. And they didn't know me from Adam, but they went, here's another veteran, and he's, he's out here. He's put himself out to come to these games, and they grabbed a hold of him.
And talking about that at the opening ceremonies last night, when I heard that, it was just when David. Zerflew, who's the new president, 18 days now, the president. But that's just how it goes. You become president on, July 1st, and you have games
you're the president
later.
July 1st, regardless. It doesn't,
So, but no, just hearing him talk about, working with, but again, the military. When I say you go to boot camp, but you're working with people. You can't be in the field and be as as much as people say. Playing sports or professional, and professional sports, and they're complaining like you don't get to be, like you said, deployed out in the field and be like, and start complaining something like, well, you need to do this, I'm not. Well, no, somebody told you to do it. You're going to do it. B, if you're not, well, you can stay here. I don't know what to tell you because there's going to be a lot of good people that are moving on.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, if someone gives you an order in the military, you follow it. That's why earlier when we were talking about college athletics and veterans and, I myself and going to colleges, you can't find a better college athlete than somebody who's been through the military because he knows the work it's going to take and he understands that my coach is a leader. He tells me what to do and I go do it. That's just the mentality. That's what we have. We're not trained to go, why should I do this? Why do I need to do that? What's going on with this? We go, okay, coach, and head on. That's how, so you're not going to find a better college athlete. You're just not going to, dedication-wise.
Well, and it's funny you say that because, as the shot goes up,
pretty
it
shot.
rolls around and goes in.
Was that Anton?
I think it was Antoine. Yeah, it was, Antoine Gray hitting the shot.
If White wants to stay in this game or keep it close, keep feeding him and get up on Booker.
Yeah, I mean, gold teams been doing it. We've had a few nice shots. Saw Steve O'Brien again hit it from, just dropped the ball off there to Booker Foster. Ooh, and Foster with a nice snap pass. You're used to that, and look at that, 0-0. Carl Morgan puts it in and puts the gold team back up by 7.
I think he was watching me play a little bit earlier.
Oh, there it is.
There's that pass I taught him.
How long did that take him, Jeff? 17 minutes to say.
No, Booker's a good friend. We actually did the Toyota commercial together, so I know Booker really well. He's a great guy and an amazing basketball player, but an even better person by far.
Well, as we get looks like we get, ball out of bounds. Thought we had a time. Yeah. It looks like we also have number 4 coming in, and that's Harold Hack, not Hacks with an X.
Yeah,
but
remember
either way, still a tough basket. I might want to change it to Hacks just on the court, like get out of my way.
I'm just saying, if they start employing the foul strategy, they've got to use him.
Yeah,
they've got to use Hacks.
Yes. No, Hack.
You got me saying Hacks. You got me saying Hacks. Look at that.
No, but one of the covering in Arizona, covering the junior colleges for a while. One of the players I actually interviewed, great story, Leon Freeman, and out of high school, he just said he was playing football, but wasn't getting in too bad of trouble, maybe hanging around with people, and he said he knew that he couldn't be successful in football, and he went into the Army, and he got deployed. He was over. Went through boot camp, and he's like, I know what happened because I really think I get deployed right away. Finished boot camp, and then a little bit after that, he left Florida. He was in Kansas, I think he said, and
Fort Leavenworth. Yeah,
and then he was over in Iraq.
Yeah,
but interviewing him, he said it. The responsibility is getting back, and and he said as it has to be all your mindset. And people say, oh, well, they all have to say that. No, some people might not say that because everybody's got a breaking point. What you guys do, what you men and women do that are up there, it's insane. Whether you're up in the air flying, getting shot at that way or back and forth in battle. For anyone to say, I used to say, you tell me a person that will actually admit to not being scared, and I'll be like, okay, fine, I'll give it to you. But your training gets you past that.
Well, what's that old John Wayne saying? Courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway.
Yep.
That's the truth. That's exactly what it is. Your training, when you get into situations, you have your training, you kind of go on autopilot. You know what I mean? You forget about the nerves because you have to. Right. That's how you have to function.
Well, it's like sports. It's like muscle memory. Because I know a lot of times I've heard, and I don't know if they change it, but in a lot of in boot camp, yes, they're blanks, but as you're going through certain drills, they might be fire. Like
there's live fire.
Live fire.
Yeah. When you do, especially at the end of basic training, when you do low crawl, at least for Army.
Low crawl,
at least for the Army, and I'm sure the Marines do something very similar, and I don't know about the Air Force, but I know the Navy does as well. When you're doing the low crawl, you have to do, I can't remember, it's about 300-meter low crawl under barbed wire, under live fire, under, and everything. And
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it's low crawl. I saw a documentary on that, and they're just sitting there.
They're shooting tracer rounds at night to make sure you realize how close those bullets are coming over your head, to understand that when you're being trained and told to do something, we're telling you to low crawl, keep your head down. If you stand up, game over. So it's to do this so when you get into combat or into sports, but again, when you get into combat, when you get into those situations where you are scared to death, you can rely on your training and you can rely on what you know, and hopefully it gets you through.
And it's terrible to compare it to movies, but it's like that scene in a turnover there too. His goal just got the hoop, and unfortunately almost making the shot there for gold, but just rolled off the rim with George Norton. But when you see, and like I said, I know it's bad to compare movies, but when you just kind of close your eyes, and even as an athlete, whatever, look at that. Who else? Booker Foster.
Yeah.
On the fast break, and he gets. Oh, did he get fouled, or did they call timeout?
I think it's a timeout.
Yeah, it is a timeout.
Yeah, it's a timeout.
139 left to go, as it's now 31-20. But yeah, you just close your eyes and you take that deep breath, and it's like you're right. You're training and you refocus because. You just see it starts flying. You until you're in it, and like I've said, I have not been that far, but just having from a distance seen it, it's like, man, it's so tough to think that it's like, yeah, of course you're gonna be a little scared, but you have training, and I go, and then because my favorite, and it relates to obviously going through boot camp and your drill sergeants. I've heard so many people throughout the years say, "What a wonderfully mean." I can't use a lot of the adjectives. But at the end was love every second of that because, and that's why that's my most favorite opening scene to a war movie is Full Metal Jacket. Because he had just retired from being like a 25-year drill sergeant.
Yeah, he had. That was his first acting role.
Yeah. And Stanley Kubrick said, they're like, well, what'd you write? He goes, what did I tell him? I just said, go. Yeah. Because he'd been doing it for, I mean, he wasn't a drill sergeant from day one, but I mean, 25 years in the Marine Corps.
And he served in Vietnam.
Right.
He tough guy for sure.
Everything he said, I mean, you can laugh because you see it, but it's like.
But anybody who's been through boot camp has heard that. Right. It is heard in worse. It's heard way worse than that. That was toned down to get the R rating. But you need that training.
Envelope,
but they did. Right. But you need that though,
right?
Because you go from somebody who's never experienced this, and we have to shock you to make you understand that if you can't take being screamed at, how are you going to deal with combat? So it's one of those. We're going to take you. We're going to shock you the first couple of weeks, and that's what
down just to build you up.
Break you down to build you up, and then after a couple of weeks, and I know Marine Corps does this a little bit. Army definitely does this. Navy, I don't know about the Air Force for sure, but after about 4 weeks, they start to back off just a little bit, give you a little bit of freedom. Go, all right, we're enough. The old adage, enough rope to hang yourself. We'll see if you mess up for us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and then if they have to go back to being hard again, then they do. But they're trying to break you down and then slowly bring you back up as a soldier.
Right. And I mean, but to me, I say to everybody, go, no, that's like real, because this guy, like I read, and he has my actually most probably. I mean, it's tough, but my most favorite TV commercial, is the jumper goes up and Robert Jones goes long, but well, they get the rebound and now it's down on the ground, but it is corralled by Carl Morgan. But I mean, that opening scene, I'm just like, no, that's real. I'm like, that's what that guy did. Like, I'm sure probably met the actors, and Stanley Kubrick, being a smart director, didn't tell the actors what he was going to say.
Oh yeah.
But Matthew Modine's like, who said that? I mean, I was like, when I saw the movie, I was like, okay, this is why it's a movie, because I'm sure if somebody had that thought, the person, I'm sorry, I know you're not supposed to sell anybody out, but if it was a person next to me, we're all about to go down, I'd be like. Which is I probably wouldn't. I know you wouldn't, but it's like
I don't know about that. There is definitely a code amongst brothers.
No,
so
especially your first day, you're not going to be like,
you're not going to be like this guy here, this guy here, hey, drill sergeant, because you're the one they're going to come up to you and go, thank you for telling us, and then you need to come over here and we're going to smoke you. I'm not sure if Jeff explained what smoking is, but in the Army and the Marine Corps, smoking is when we take you outside and we exercise you till we see smoke coming back off your body. So, and it is not fun. And in MP Basic, we had what was called the Pit of Woe, which is where anytime we did something wrong, they would make us low crawl in a circle while they dump buckets of water on us. So it's
never mind. I wouldn't have said. I would have been. We're all going to be running for days.
It's exactly what it is, because they teach you the brotherhood. If one messes up, we all mess up. If one does well, we all do well. That's the brotherhood. That's and I say brotherhood in a general term. That's the brother and sisterhood. That's what we that's what you want to cultivate. That when you get down range, you can trust each other.
38 seconds left to go here in the first half. 31-20. As you guys have seen the action, the goal team again getting a few hoops. Obviously, Booker Foster hit a few, but again, they're moving the ball around. And you're right, the seasoned vet, number 14, George Norton. You were talking about him, Sean, and again, that's what Manu Ginobili today. I don't know if you saw, but is finalizing his contract. Come back because they thought it might be his last. Yeah, I mean. Again, he'll come off the bat. I mean, and I know they just lost Simmons.
Yeah.
They lost Simmons in free agency. And that being said, but I mean, you talk about seasoned vets in basketball, and you hear people talk about it, it's like, okay, it might not be as quick, but again, it's like you don't always have to be the fastest, because I remember being around football, and especially in college, and then even being on sidelines and hearing pro coaches, like, you have all this speed, but you got to set the route up. Like, if you get there too quick, you're going to throw it off. So if you can, kind of make the defense, make that corner thing. But in basketball, again, if you cut the angle and don't go maybe all the way across to set the screen, or you step up to make it easier, you're messing up the spacing, and that's what a vet does.
Absolutely. And if you're watching George, and I've been watching him as we've been talking, the one thing he knows is he knows White's tired, and he definitely knows Antoine is getting tired. So he has been slowly backpicking him, making him work up and down the court, trying to get those arms tired, trying to get that acid in the arms. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have time to, 10 minutes isn't a whole lot of time to work it out. So we'll see if they can get a little bit of energy coming back in the second half.
Yeah. Booker Foster put that shot up. He missed it, and Carl Morgan got the rebound. Unfortunately, he made it, but time runs out.
It's one of the few Booker missed.
Yeah, well, I know. I was going to say, that's pretty much a surprise. But 31-20 is the score here from the Duke Energy Convention Center in the Queen City of Cincinnati, Ohio. The 37th National Veterans Wheelchair Games, co-sponsored by the Paralyzed Veterans of America and the Department of Veterans Affairs. We're going to step aside. Sean and I will do that, but 31-20, the gold team leading over the white team here from the beautiful city of Cincinnati. The 37th Annual National Veterans Wheelchair Games, co-sponsored by Paralyzed Veterans of America and the Department of Veteran Affairs. 31-20 as we're here at the Duke Energy Convention Center, downtown Cincinnati. Man, what a great walk it is, especially, like I was telling Jeff DeLeon in the first game, since it's not 100,000 degrees outside like it is in Phoenix. A little humid, yes, some rain, yes, but it is beautiful. Well, in Phoenix rain, but here it has just been absolutely beautiful. He is Sean Castle. He's a member, well, a participant here in the Veterans Wheelchair Games. We saw him in the first game. Unfortunately, Team Black made a run here at Team White here, who's trailing Team Gold 31-20. And the leading scorers, real quick, before I get to Sean and his adjustments, but Booker Foster, 17 points, and Antoine Gray, 12 for the white team. So those are the two leading scorers, 31-20, the halftime score. But you had talked to Booker Foster, and you mentioned that they need to put two people on him, but even if they do, it's not a problem.
Well, the thing is, if you're going to double Booker, you have to leave somebody in the middle to stop that streaker. Like we were talking about George earlier, who's just so smart, he's going to see that opening. But for them to get back in this game, they have to take the chance of doubling Booker and making somebody else beat them. And that's the thing. If you double Booker, he's not going to score. He's got 17 points, okay? If you take him out of the equation, it's 20-14. But if they're going to get back in this game, they have to double Booker and take the opportunity to make someone else beat us.
A little shot there is missed. Ooh, a little traffic jam. And it looks like also number 4, Harold Hack, actually starting this second half for Gold. So we have Harold Hack, we have Steve O'Brien right there with the ball. We have George Norton, the vet, as Sean likes to call him, and 00, Carl Morgan along with Booker Foster as he goes, just to the right of the left of the lane, pardon me, but misses the shot.
And see, this is where they have to take advantage. You've got a 2-on-1 right here, and you got, Hack right behind him, but there,
nice
there it is.
pass.
You got to take advantage of that. There it is.
And Antoine Gray gets it down to Welton Locklear, and now that makes it 31-22.
Looks like White to start the second half is trying to press up on them, make them touch the ball and bring it up.
And you said to Antoine, talking to Antoine Gray at the half, he came over, was talking to us, let us know that he's been hydrating, but a little worn out, but he is chasing Booker around as Booker gets a screen there, goes to the left of the lane again, puts it up.
Perfect steal.
Man, almost got under the backboard too much, but kisses it off the glass.
But see, if you watch 14, you watch George again. He set that perfect seal to get, Booker in there, and I mean, that's easy buckets. You get 2 feet from the basket with Booker, it's over.
Now, to these guys, you're talking about, you didn't know, are there any other men or women that you served with that are here at the games? I know a lot of the guys. They're in years past. I've had actually guys from my MP company that that have come to the games. So at these particular games, not anybody that I've actually served with, but a lot of the generation that I've served with is here. Nice. A lot of the same generation, like myself and Antoine and Booker and Frank Johnson, who was in the game with me. He was our number. He was our big scorer in that game and everything. A lot of our generation is here, and that's great to see because, a lot of the guys, when they get out, they don't know about adapted athletics or they haven't been introduced to it. So seeing our young generation actually get involved is amazing. And the PBA and the VA have done a wonderful job supporting adapted athletics as a tool to reintroduce veterans back into life and to get them reintegrated. Because one of the hardest things when you sustain a traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury, an amputation, one of the hardest things is the day after you leave the hospital, what do I do now? Exactly.
Where is my life?
Because you've been in the hospital and starting, therapy or rehab and stuff like that, going to therapy. So now you're cleared enough to go home, and you're like, wow. I mean, again, another thing of where you got to have your head on straight and try and figure it out. Oh, look at that move right there.
Pretty shot.
Talk about that as that was Welton Locklear. And, the white team hit a shot before. Look at that. They're within 7 now, 33-26. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, adjustment. Again, you go overseas, that's an adjustment. You're in battle, that's an adjustment. But this one, and look at that. Booker
gets too easy.
Yeah, they let him get out on the break. I was about to say to you.
Yeah, they're doing the press, which is a good idea. But the problem is if they keep letting Booker get over top and all they got to do is toss it over, and Booker's not missing that close. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, when you come home, that's the biggest thing is when you leave the hospital, you know, when you're at the hospital, you got all these people coming to talk to you, you have celebrities coming to visit you, you have all this great stuff going on. But the day you leave the hospital, the next morning when you wake up, you know, you may have family and friends, but you are by yourself again to deal with life. So that is the moment when they need somebody, you know, to come into their life. It's like someone did in mine and go, here's this other world that you can go on, you can latch onto.
Right, and to your point too, I mean, family and friends. I mean, they're obviously not going to leave; they'll be there with you. But you wake up, and again, you're right. You're not by yourself, but you're by yourself.
You're by yourself
because you're like, wow. I mean, they're here, but like it's an adjustment. And being in the military, and like you said, being trained to obviously work together. But like we said, I mean, you know, being trained to win, being trained to be put in situations and get out of some things now you can't do by yourself. And to anybody, I mean, military or not, that's the most frustrating thing for anyone. All of a sudden, I mean, I remember. And not nearly as serious, but a little when my appendix ruptured when I was in 7th grade. So I had my appendix literally taken. Oh, look at that move to the hoop. He just checked into the game.
Yeah.
That was number 15, George Jackson for the white team. Look at that. Getting down the lane.
Get a good shot up there for sure. Oh, here comes Booker again. They
nice.
got to try. Oh.
Well, they went over to Booker. Ooh, the
But see, they did the double on Booker to stop him from that easy pass, and that's exactly what they need to do to get into this. They've got a good break. They need to score right here. Bring this within 5.
Yeah, Carl Morgan missed the layup. Oh, and look at that. The hoop there by Jesse Lynn makes it 35-30. Gold leading, but like Sean just said, within 5. But yeah, my appendix ruptured. I was in 7th grade. Didn't want to go. I thought it was a bad cramp for like 3 days. Long story short, when I finally went to the hospital, and of course they take the X-ray and they see, oh wow, like it had ruptured, like not good, because but I'm like I'm a cramp. I don't want to go, and then, but. I was in bed for, I mean, appendix surgery has changed. I know a lot of people, I mean, they get it now. I mean, my scar wasn't like old school where it was long. I mean, my scar was like laser. It was like that anyway, which was cool.
Yeah.
But people get it now, and 3 days later, they're gone. I mean, I was in bed, and the surgeon wanted me up after. The one surgeon said, oh, no, wait another few days. The other surgeon's like, no, he's getting out of bed tomorrow. But, I mean, you talk about, like you said, learning to do different things. I mean, you're learning how to get around in a wheelchair and start to be it's not going to be comfortable the first day, but get comfortable. Walking again, you know, and, of course, being a guy, you know how we are. The nurses are like, you need help, and I'm in 7th. I'm taller than I'm like, no, I'm fine. Sean, I mean, this is obviously bad TV because you can't see me, but I literally took, for the viewers out there, I went like this. I moved my feet, like 3 little things.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it was nauseous
because
I've been in bed for like 4. You haven't moved.
Yeah.
And I kind of fall, and they're like, you still do it by yourself? I'm like, I could use a little help right now. But it's just, again, learning how to, I mean, something basic as I couldn't walk unassisted for a day and a half. But it seemed like 3 weeks to me. Because, of course, you're a kid and you're impatient anyway. I'm a teenager. But I'm like, but yeah, you're learning to do stuff all over again. But to be around people like you're saying, like I was saying to Jeff, sharing stories and being there. And it's like, you know, you can do stuff with your life. And, you know, that's probably one of the best things I heard at the opening. I mean, there's a lot of great things, but I mean, when David Zerflo said, you know, people that aren't here yet and that are scared to come and that, you know, just don't think they can, and you feel like you have this, you know, it's a roadblock almost, whatever, an obstacle in front of you that you can't get through. Hey, everybody had to be here for a first time once. Come here, and you guys, everybody's going to be supportive, men, women, everybody.
Absolutely, and that's the best thing about these games. The Paralyzed Veterans of America, in conjunction with Department of Veterans Affairs, has been putting these games on for 37 years, which is unbelievable. It's way more than Invictus. It's way more than the Warrior Games, and they do good things. But you got to think about this. This is an all-inclusive games. Okay, this is for novices. This is for professionals. This is everybody in between. So you have an opportunity to bring people like you're talking about, day one out of the hospital, don't know what you're going to do, to get around men and women who have been exactly where they've been, gone through exactly what they've gone through, and have thrived in life. You know, you talk about Jeff. My God, you want to meet a more inspirational human being on this planet? You know, I know you guys are joking around and everything, but Jeff is not only one of the best athletes here, but he is one of the best human beings I've ever met.
And he said he got injured pretty quick in service, but he stayed in. He was able to stay, which is, to me, again, when anyone decides to serve, it's like, it's going to be taken away from you. I mean, yeah, you might not be able to do exactly what you wanted to go do, but you can still do and still serve and still do amazing things.
Well, Jeff, one of the things recently, and I know he wouldn't toot his own horn, so I know he probably didn't mention it, but Jeff started his own charity for adapted athletics in Mexico. He drives around the United States.
Did he mention it?
Yeah.
He said he was in Mexico He was talking about the weather, but he didn't mention the charity part.
It's his charity that he started. He drives around the United States to pick up equipment from anybody who is willing to donate it, to drive it back to Mexico, to give it to people who are in our positions but do not have the ability to be able to get the equipment that's needed.
Right.
And he does that all the time. He drives around the country constantly. His truck is perfectly fitted for it. He's got a trailer, and he goes back and forth across the border, making sure that people south of the border who don't have the opportunities that us veterans do have get the needed equipment so they can get brought into life. So that's another guy from these vet games who won the Spirit of the Games Awards last year, who is making things happen, on a global scale. He's trying to change things through his own charity, and like I said, I know he wouldn't toot his own horn, but I'm going to for him because he is an amazing person. And those are the type of people you're going to meet at these games. So that's why it's very important that if we can get people to get to these games, novices, to include, to meet these guys, it could be a life-changing experience. It changed my life.
Right. No, I mean, absolutely. Again, and if you have the opportunity to do it, like I said, playing a sport, going down, to, like you said, with the equipment, going down to a beach, going down to, a mall, store, whatever, to be able to do it, have more. So, again, start to create more of that freedom, start to create more of that.
Absolutely.
Because, hey, it's never, in the service, you're taught you are leaning on the person next to you, like you said, and Jeff said it too. Basically, I'm putting my life in your hands and you're putting your life in my hands, and I'm going to make sure that your life is very well taken care of because I'm not worrying about mine first because I have you.
Yeah.
So it's like getting to be more independent and getting to having more opportunities, and then it's to a point where you're right. The whole, it's your equipment. I know obviously you're not saying, oh, we should go play in the NBA.
No.
Be a little bit different. No,
Yeah.
but you're right, because when people say, and you know what, and I've had that debate on radio before too, with when they say, oh, well, women's sports, and I get it. There's a WNBA, there's an NBA, but like tennis, the whole Serena Williams debate, which John McEnroe made blow up, and I get what he was saying, but I'm saying maybe at 16 she couldn't have beaten because she's 2 years, or Serena is 2 years younger than Venus, but at 16 maybe she couldn't have beat guys, but there's some tournaments now I think she could get into the quarterfinals beating men. Now, I understand, yes, their serves might be harder, but she's not going to shy away from it. She'll still be able to return it. And, yeah, she might not. But when he said the 700th, I'm like, come on, man. Because I don't care if it's some guy's first day on the tour. Guys like, and I'm saying she's like the Federer and, Nadal and Andy Murray and Djokovic of the women's on her side, dominant. So you're telling me she couldn't take somebody first? I'm like, she could get out of the first few rounds.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I get the debate, and with what you're saying, and it's just in separating. And speaking of women, she's back in the game, is Jatiah Taylor, number 13 for the gold team.
And if you watch Jatiah, what she's doing also is that she's coming up. It's perfect. And wheelchair basketball is different than able-bodied basketball, where able-bodied basketball, if you set a back pick or you set a pick, you have to release within a second. Wheelchair basketball, and she's about to score.
Ooh,
look at that. Left-handed on the right. Oh, pretty. But what she's doing, if you watch, she's finding someone to back pick, stop and slow them down. Make sure that there's a 5-on-4 going forward. And that is one of those key things in wheelchair basketball that we can do, because if she can stop somebody, she can hold them indefinitely without having to let them out. She's playing a great game. And it looks like Gold's pressing up to try and, stretch this lead out a little bit.
41-32. He gets to the rim. And, wow, a very, very rare miss for Robert Jones.
He's had a good night.
As the ball gets knocked out of, that's Joel Van Cleve, number 11 in the game for the gold team. Down low. Rolls off the rim for 0-0. Carl Morgan of the gold team. And now here comes the man, Antoine Gray. Booker.
They got to stop.
Booker Foster, goes down. Yeah.
I'm not sure if this happened in our game or not, but one of the things is if a down player, doesn't matter where they are on the court, if a down player is near where the action, if a down player is near where the ball is, they instantly have to stop.
Right.
Now, if he had fallen back here and the play was way up here, it continues until the play is over.
Right.
So
if they would have scored, then they would have blown the whistle.
Exactly. But if he's down near, one of the strategies you can actually do is if a player on your team falls, come over with the ball to get the timeout, because you're at a disadvantage. If you're on offense and your player goes down, you're on 4-on-5. Why do that? So you go over, you stop the clock, you get him up, you bring him. And in this situation, they don't want him in the lane about to get hit, and it's a dangerous situation. That's why if anybody actually falls in the lane, instantly stops it no matter what happens.
Well, I mentioned David Zerflo. I got to give a shout out. Obviously, we met yesterday, director of the Cincinnati VA Medical Center, Vivian T. Hudson, and she is just fired up. Listening to her talk last night. 30 years. A retired colonel. I know that. She served 30 years. And then also the chief of Public and Community Affairs, Todd Sledge, who's been helping us out a lot. The local organizing coordinator, Ellen Graff. Also the volunteers vice chair, Tracy Butts, because Todd was telling me 3,300 volunteers coming out for this, all events, all week, which is absolutely awesome. I mean, the sponsors, I was going to get to that more so later in the week, so we have a lot more to talk about. But like UPS, I know, huge, big sponsor, P&G,
Invacare,
yeah, Invacare, Fifth Third Bank, I know, and then who else did we talk to? Procter and the wheelchair, Permobile,
and also the Veterans Canteen Service, who does a great job every year providing a lot of good stuff. For, when we go through on the first day, and they go through provide a lot of great stuff. Also, a lot of great support. They've been one of the sponsors for a very long time of these games, and having a veterans organization that's in it, being one of the big sponsors, is a great thing.
Absolutely. And then the fundraising vice chair, Terry Ruggieri, who's definitely is a very busy person, and. Yeah, so I want to give a shout out in this project. Didn't want to forget basketball night, first night, but I mean, it's just been everyone's just been welcoming. And I mean, come on, who would have thought I would be sitting next to all my friends that are watching back at home? Like, I'm sure I'm going to get a few messages later like, man, you went pretty light on the Bama guy, as much trash as you talk about their conference. And I'll tell them what I said the same thing to you yesterday. For the top 3 or 4 teams that are dominant, there's the bottom 4 teams. There's no best conference. You've carried the conference the last 7-8 years. If anything, because you did say you had a soft spot for Penn State, the Big Ten, I guess from top to bottom was better, but the bottom 4 teams are still atrocious. So I'm not going to sit there and even being a Pac-12 homer. Jeff and I could have been Pac-12 homers, which we kind of were picking on you a little bit.
Sure.
But that being said, I will still not say the Pac. I mean, like I said, for the top 4 or 5. Although the one thing you and I did agree on, I mean, Bob Stoops retires. Lincoln Riley now takes. So, I mean, he was pretty much being groomed for it. It is always nice at any level, as we get a timeout here, to take over. I mean, you're talking about the back screens, and I'm paralleling it because when you take over, when you have probably, I mean, yeah, there's big hogs everywhere, but because they didn't lose anybody. I think they lost one of their guards, but the guy coming in.
He's a 5-star coming in.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, but the guys, I think they have if it is one of the guys, but either way, Oklahoma has the best offensive line coming back in the country, which pains me to say. So hopefully they can take that up to Columbus, which, did I say that out loud? Oops.
remember where we are. Right. Remember where we are, yeah.
Yeah, that was actually Sean Castle that said that. The guy with the Alabama. No.
Roll Tide, no.
Oh, man. No, but I mean, but at any, and you know, a lot of it, I mean, so obviously the goal team, the coach came over and introduced himself. They have a coach. So, again, the guys knowing each other. I guess he volunteered to coach them, but you guys seem to have a self-coach and how do timeouts go? Do at least everybody take a little bit of turns or what?
Yeah, I mean, well, a lot of what happens is since we don't actually have a central coach that's coming in there, you have a lot of guys who have a lot of experience, and there's a lot of respect in that huddle. So I know that a lot of the guys I'm playing with, Frank, Dame, all those guys, have a lot of experience in this game. And if I've got something to say, I'll say it. They've got something to say, but it's respect all around. Because we all know we're going for a singular goal. We all know we're trying to win this game. And there's nobody in there going, bickering, any of this type of stuff. It's, hey, this is what I feel. This is what I think we should do. And it's right there, and it's respect. So if you don't have that coach figure, it's definitely a respect environment.
Well, here's my thing. What is it with the start of the second half? I mean, we have gotten some points, but now it's part of the second half, a little stretch of, it's 41-32 for a little bit there.
The one thing I will say is, especially in the preliminary games, a lot of the guys on the team don't play higher level basketball. Like at Alabama, I practice every day, 4 to 6 hours in my chair. And then when we go play tournaments, you're playing 4 to 5 games in a 36-hour period. So the higher cardio level, my arms were getting a little, but not a whole lot, But a lot of these guys, they're novices, they're newer to the game, they don't have the same cardio level. So the beginning of the second half, they've taken the lull, the energy's gotten out of them after the end of the first half. They take that 10-minute break, and it kind of comes down. And a lot of
oh, wow.
Booker.
Traffic right there, but he got a screen from number 10, Rodney Jones. So he must have heard me saying that the baskets went cold, and Booker said, nope, no, they have not. So Booker Foster on the court with Carl Morgan. Number 11 is Joel Van Cleve. Number 10 is Rodney Jones. Number 5 is Julius Lee, are the 5 on the court for the gold. For the white, we have, there he is, number 1. You see him with the ball. Robert Jones gets it to the 0-0. Sam Ballard, who takes the jumper, and look at that. Dusts off the strings there and gets his team, a little bit closer as they're down 43-34. So Ballard, and then also Welton Locklear, and number 5, Jesse Lind.
See, and one of the best things that you'll see is every team has a very experienced player. So on gold, you have Booker. On white, you have Robert and you have Anton. You have guys who do all the hard work, who do the cardio, who do the the day-to-day work. So they're the ones lifting their teams up when they get tired in the second half. They're the ones trying to bring that energy, and that's what you see with gold and even with white. You're seeing the senior leaders on the team, the guys that's been here before, saying, "Hey, we've still got 9.5 minutes left in this game. We're only down 9 points. I mean, it's not a blowout game by any stretch of the imagination. This can come back. You can get it, but you know what I mean? We got to employ the strategy of slowing Booker down."
All right. I thought that hoop went in. For gold,
I don't think that the official scores have changed it yet.
Yeah, it's 45-34. I'm going with
my
score.
Yeah, I agree.
We did see the strings go in, and it looks like it's about to. Going down the lane, just off the back rim. Rodney Jones. Oh, turnover there is now 0-0. Carl Morgan will take it, and look at Carl. Had the right idea. Was trying to bounce it to Booker Foster, who stopped on the outside, as that was number 11. That was Kevin Tenney who stopped him.
Well, actually, number 11, and the rest kind of missed it here. Number 11 was hooking, like you had talked about it with Jeff. Number 11 was actually hooking Booker to keep him from getting into the lane there. It was a missed call by the refs, but that's what stopped him from being able to get there, because Booker was sliding right through, and then he hooked inside of his wheel, couldn't go anywhere.
So it'll be a throw-in. Oh, they did change the scoreboard.
They did.
We were right. Yes.
It's always nice when you're right.
Well,
so it's not a bad day.
Counting by twos helps a little bit.
Twos and threes.
Twos and threes.
Anything I got to stop using my hands for is out of my range. So as long as they keep it twos and threes, we're good.
Oh, I'm going to let that go. It's your first time doing analyst. I'm going to be nice.
I was setting you up with a softball there.
Yeah. That's Booker Foster, again, being annoyed, and I mean that in a complimentary way. Those of you that heard me broadcast before, because when somebody's defense is annoying, it's a very good thing. Ooh, and Booker underneath the hoop as Antoine Gray is chasing him around. And yeah, look at that.
Just gotta.
Jeff DeLeon comes over, gives you a sweaty hug.
Give me the sweaty hug. Thanks. I appreciate that, Jeff. Thanks for the love there. I'm soaked already. Thanks for that. Yeah. Jeff sweat all over me. That's the brotherhood, I guess. It's the brotherhood to come up and just pour sweat on me. I appreciate that, Jeff.
I was gonna say probably gonna start throwing water balloons at him sooner or later.
Looks like his team over there is up 11. He's doing good. Jeff is another one, and you're not seeing it tonight, but you're probably going to see Jeff or Booker or one of those guys in the gold medal game on Saturday. You're definitely going to see one of them in the bronze, but you're most likely, because those are the guys, and just missed there by Booker, but those are the guys, again, that bring the team up together. Right. Those are the leaders on the court, and especially at these games, that's vital to a winning team.
Antoine Gray bringing the ball up to court. Ooh, turns it over as Booker Foster now has it. Well, he's going 1-on-2, seeing if he can get there. Oh, bounces it off to his teammate. It's up and in for Steve O'Brien. And that'll make it 47-34, 7:55 left to go in the second half. White team needs to go on a little bit of a run.
Yeah, they need to pick it up. Again, they're not doubling Booker. When they're coming up, they're trying to run a press to get the game closer, and that's fine. But the problem is, if you're not going to find where Booker is, the guy who's lighting the scoreboard up, you're going to have trouble all day. And Booker's getting over top. They're putting it over top. He's got the easy layups. And even when they hook him, they're still not really stopping him. So if they want to get back in the game, they've got to slow Booker down. Well,
we'll see if they can do that when we get back. 47-34, the gold team leading over the white team. 7:44 left to go here in the second half. The 37th annual National Veterans Wheelchair Games, co-sponsored by the Paradise Veterans of America and the Department of Veteran Affairs. Here at the Duke Energy Convention Center in Cincinnati, Ohio, the 37th Annual National Veterans Wheelchair Games. The white team out of the timeout, and Locklear strolled down the lane. So if he's going like that, I mean, you can't can you get in front of him if you hit him? If you bump into him, is it a foul?
Well, you can absolutely get in front of him, and I don't see why anybody didn't. All they had to do to stop him is just slide over and stop your chair dead. If he hits you, that's a charge. And I'm not quite seeing why Gold Team just let him stroll down Main Street and gave up those 2 buckets. I know you're up by 11 now, but still, I mean, there's a lot of time in this game. I know you've watched a lot of sports. I've watched a lot of sports. Crazier things have happened. This game is not out of reach, I mean, especially in wheelchair basketball.
Booker was trying to break baseline.
See, they're doing 2 now with Booker. There you go.
Oh, and we're going to get a
30-second
shot clock violation. Yeah.
Now, I'll say something. That is, I'm not sure if Jeff noted that, but that's a new thing here this year.
Oh, it is?
Before
so
they didn't have the shot clock. Yeah, that was something that we had all talked about. We've got to kind of, get this going.
Because it's like high school basketball drives me nuts because a lot of states don't have it.
Yeah.
And, yes, granted, the way, I mean, every sport's copycat, but the way they're playing in high school with a lot of teams keeping pace, but I mean, you could sit there and dribble the ball for a minute and a half and pass it and do nothing. So
exactly.
At the varsity level, I'm not saying freshman or JV, but at varsity level, there should be, and I even said 35. Go like old school college. Like, make it a 35-second shot clock.
Well, the other thing that's new here too is, they're playing hard and White. They're down now. They could come back, but even if they should so lose this game, they changed the format this year to make it a round robin. So even if you lose the first game, you're not out of goal contention, which is a great thing. Years past, if you lost your first game, you're out of goal contention immediately. So it's definitely a more competitive thing, though. Even though we lost tonight, we've got 2 more games tonight. We win them both. We're in the gold medal game. So it's not like we're out of contention. So we fought hard, and, like White right now, they may not come back to win this game, but even if they don't, they're definitely not out of medal contention, especially not out of gold.
Well, Carl Morgan hit that shot for Team Gold, but then you saw, I was going to say Sam Ballard's in the game. Also, number 13, Cliff McDowell for the White, who dropped that off to Gray. Ooh, Gray misses the layup there. Also, number 3, though, back in the game, Richard Robbins.
Ooh, good pass. Good bounce pass.
Now, what's the max that each team can? I didn't ask Jeff that. Like, how many can you have on your team?
So what happens is, did he explain the point system already?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it actually. Okay. So when it actually comes to how many players are on either team, it's actually up to the organizers making the teams. Normally it's somewhere between 8 and 10. We had 8. I believe both these teams actually have 9, and then White might have 10. And it's right around there. It's either 8, 9, or 10, depending. And they try to put, if you have a team with stronger players on it, they try to put more novices on them to get them more game time. That way, and they're being mentored a lot more. So, and if you have a group that's got a lot of veteran players, they may only have 7 or 8. Like our team only had 8. So you had more veteran players on that team.
And now is there, I mean, I know this isn't like Pee Wee division when you're kids, but is there does everybody have to play a certain amount of time?
That's an interesting thing that's also just for something specifically for the National Veterans Wheelchair Games, which he actually ran to in our game. It's kind of a thing where every player has to play at least 10 minutes throughout the game. Doesn't matter where those 10 minutes come from, but they have to play 10 minutes somewhere out the game. So that's a strategic thing you have to think about. If you've got novice players, and you're late in the game and they haven't got their 10 minutes, well, they've got to come in. So as part of the strategy of the games here that's different from most games is you have to find out, okay, we've got the novice players or this piece here, and it's got almost a little bit of a chess game to figure out where we're going to slide these guys in here and figure this out. And in our game, we actually had a player show up a little bit after the game had started.
Yes, she did. It was Arlene, because I was looking for her before the game to find out her number, and Jeff picked out. He goes, who's I go, well, there's only one person left, and that means Arlene's number 10.
Yeah, and she showed up and it threw things in a little bit of upheaval at halftime. We had to ensure, okay, so what's the ruling now? She was only here for 5 minutes of the first half. Does she have to play 10? Does she have to play 5? What do we need to do? Because we're in a battle back and forth, so we're trying to figure out exactly where this player slides in. Can we even play her because she showed up late? So that's definitely things, and now that you have a coach out there that's running it, his job not only is coaching the players, but it's keeping the time for how many times they go in, how many points are on the floor at any given time, that type of thing. So actually having a coach that's not part of the team keep stats on all that it's a big advantage, quite frankly.
Well, I thought Gold had 51, and they're looking at the board, but I don't know if they're changing it. But either way, we have a timeout, so the official score is saying is 49, but I'm going to go, because that hoop, again, did go in. I did see it. It didn't go in front of that. It went over the rim, I promise, as Sean was sharing there, but that's one of those things where, I say it's 51-38, but
you're probably right. You got to know also that we have. You mentioned how many volunteers are here this year? 3,300. It's some amazing amount, and those are also volunteers who come to help run the clocks. Yeah, they come here to help run the clocks and run the games and run everything else.
No.
So I'm just saying that, like, there's things bound to happen a little bit, but we also have the official scorebook on somebody who's one of the referees who's sitting over there who's actually counting it. So even if the scoreboard's not showing it exactly, it'll be official. They'll have the right score.
The white team now inbounding, as that was Locklear who inbounded to Ballard. And number 13 is actually back in the game for White, Cliff McDowell. Oh, no, he was in before the timeout. Oh, no, back in actually is number 1, Robert Jones, because he was not in. It's Antoine Gray gets it down to Jones, who got a break. Look at that. Puts it up with the right hand, gets his own rebound. Oh, rolls off. And 0-0, Carl Morgan with the board there. And the white team, 2 opportunities. And now here comes Booker Foster.
And this is part of the thing of them playing 2 games in a row. You can see it. Ooh, tough foul. This is them playing 2 games in a row. Robert would not miss that game shot in the first game. It's just not happening. Like, he lit us up. And being, again, 2 feet from the basket, Rob's not missing that. And, Ant, who I call, Antoine, who I call Ant. Ant's not missing that shot that low. Ant's cramping up. You can see he's hurting being out there. That's also the thing is, okay, we're all ex-military, you know what I mean? So you got to persevere and push through and everything. But that's when they do double back-to-back games, it's rough. And tomorrow night I have to do double back-to-back to try and get to the gold medal. So you can see it. You can see it on their faces. You can see the energy level coming down. So
well, it's funny you mentioned tomorrow night because somebody's got the schedule because I'm important. So at 6:30 p.m. we have Team 1 versus Team 3, which is your team.
Yes, sir.
You'll be taking on the Royal team, and then and then on court 2, Team 5, which is the green team, will be taking on Team Purple.
Jeff's team, yeah.
Jeff's team, and then
that'll be a very good game. Jeff, and then you have Jimmy Green, who's actually on the green team. Jimmy Green's one of the perennial players that comes every year and is just a knockdown shooter. He's a guy. It's that little 45 shot. You're not touching him. He's like Booker. If you get him to a spot, I don't care what you do. It's going in.
And then we have Team 5, which is the green team, taking on Team. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Team 6. I'm sorry. Team 6 is the red team, and they will be taking on the orange team, Team 8, and that's at 6:30. And then at 8 p.m. we have Team 1, the black team again, taking on this gold team. So that's why Sean wanted to call this game to get some scouting in, although he already knows pretty much of it. And then we have the white team taking on the royal team, and then we have purple team taking on the orange team.
Yeah, there's a lot of great basketball action to come here still at these games. There's a lot of players, that we haven't seen so far tonight that are just superstar players that haven't, been on camera to shine, but they will. And I guarantee you, come Saturday when you have the consolation game and you have the gold game, you won't see these lulls beginning of the second half because you got the creme de la creme coming into place. And also they push 3 games, so they get
webs are off.
Exactly. But what I mean is you've got the 3 games out of the way. You've got that. You know what I mean. You know what's about to happen. So you're going to see the best of the best playing in those 2 games. Definitely.
I mean, I'd get out there, but I got to do this.
Oh, wait a second now. We've got 3 minutes left in this game. I've got my basketball chair. I'm sure I could ask Jeff if you want to hop out and do some horse. I won't even make you actually push up and down the court. If you want to play some horse, we can do that. No dunking, though, but I didn't think I had to worry about that guy from ASU. You don't really play basketball out there all that much. So you sure you want to play the guy in the wheelchair and lose? I'm just saying,
So what, Alabama plays basketball? I'm sorry.
The wheelchair basketball program has 14 national titles.
Right, but maybe you should try and go coach a regular basketball program too.
We have a wonderful coach. His name is Avery Johnson. Avery is doing a great job with recruiting.
And now South Carolina passed me. Look what they were nasty. I love.
Oh yeah,
team.
South Carolina. Oh my God, they were. And I got to give respect. I'm not one of those homers of the SEC.
No. You were.
Oh, but I was rooting for South Carolina. I was, that's a tough, gritty team. That's one of those teams you just want to root for, regardless, unless they're
obviously
Auburn.
The official scorer disagrees. Sorry, no, it is funny.
You're
but
good.
I'm saying he disagrees because it was 49. They're leaving at 49-40, so now it is 51. Maybe there was a foul call. It went in, maybe because they inbounded it, and I heard a whistle. But I didn't. It was pretty quick.
You told me in the timeout. You told me you passed math at ASU.
I know, but the basket went in. But if he blew, the whistle blew. So
he may have called it off. He may have waved it off. Again, like we were talking, there could be somebody down. There could have been.
But I looked. I didn't see him
for the
wave
shot.
It off. So 49-40 is our score. No, now they did change it. It's 53-40 now. Are you kidding? See, but I thought he waved it off because there was a whistle. So, anyway.
But that's what I was saying. They've got the official book over there, so they've got somebody specifically dedicated just watching the score. So
which is cool. But usually in the first game they changed it pretty quick. 53-40 is the score. And at the line is number 13. That's Cliff McDowell.
Cliff.
And just missed that free throw.
He's another vet of these games.
He's saying something to us, but unfortunately I couldn't hear him. He didn't say it loud enough if he would have came over. But I guess he can't really leave the court when they're playing, but he was talking to us. So
he was mentioning something about my shirt, this wonderful Alabama Crimson Tide T-shirt. So.
Oh, I think he said he needed something to blow his nose on.
Oh, well, you know, he can have this shirt because we have a lot of championship T-shirts I can change into. 16 of them, I do believe. Yeah. So it's completely fine, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
You know,
he can have it if he wants. We're more than willing to help out the needy.
I will always have to give props to, just letting everybody know when they're talking about the basketball team that, even though I like Avery Johnson, that, yeah, I mean, South Carolina, but to finish that up, they were just nasty last year.
They were one of those teams, again, you want to root for them because they're a gritty team. They fought hard the entire way. Those are one of those teams that it's easy to root for.
How can you not love Frank Mason? I mean, he's a guy you just sit down and just literally just, I mean, military, but you just sit down and probably have a beer with just like,
yeah.
I mean, fire people. I like
absolutely.
Him. But I love Bobby Hurley. He's got the Devils going the right track. Plus, it's always going to be tough to.
And Bobby came out of Buffalo, you know, and he turned that program around.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, come on,
Buffalo.
Absolutely. If you can recruit to Buffalo to play basketball, you know, I'm a Bills fan, so you know what I mean. Football, you know, ain't that great, but even the school where Collie Mack came out of there, you know, and if you can recruit them to play basketball up there and then get them to the 64 and then do well, I mean, Bobby's going to do great things at ASU for you.
Ooh, the three is up. Ooh, just short by Jones. Yeah, I know he's definitely recruited some. He's got some good recruits coming in, but it's always going to be tough to. I mean, with what Lute Olson started at U of A, and then Sean Miller. I mean, I know they went out in the Sweet 16 to Xavier, his old school, and I mean, the funny thing is, all these wonderful, smart people blowing up Twitter. Fire Sean Miller. I got on the radio. I was like, please fire him. Please fire him. Because who do you think you're going to get? And I go, I'm not just trying to have, like, hot take radio here. Anybody want to call? U of A fans, call in. Tell me a better recruiter in the conference. Like, zero. Like, yeah, UCLA, I mean, I find you have Alonzo Ball there and the ball, that whole thing. They're talented. No, Alonzo Ball
is talented, absolutely.
And his brother, I mean, I know the younger one now.
But he's only, 14, 15? I mean, he's still growing into who he is.
The other brother who's going to be at UCLA.
Yeah, this coming up year,
Angela, they're saying, oh, well, he's not. But, look, all I know is Sean Miller can recruit, and I said, yeah, you want to make in-game adjustments. And speaking of that, look at that. They reversed it that time as Antoine Gray got it down to Robert Jones. Usually it was the other way around in your game.
Yeah.
And now that makes it 53-42, but almost too little too late. There's 50 seconds left to go here.
Now, it looks, I'm not quite sure if that was an unintentional foul or now they're trying to employ the fouling strategy, but they're up. They're only down by 11. I mean, again, a couple quick buckets, you're back into this. But if they're going to do the fouling strategy, I personally would have thought about a couple minutes ago, you know, about 2.5, maybe 3 minutes left. But, you know, never say die, and that's a great thing. That's a military attitude. You know, if you're going to try and employ this, go for it. You know, give it a shot.
Taya Taylor comes over to inbound, and she came back in the game, and she'll give it to Steve O'Brien. But, yeah, I had a few U of A fans calling and like, are you really I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, this is how smart your fan base is. Who do you think's walking through that door? I go, I know you don't think Lute Olson's walking through that door again. A, B, you think what? You think if you wanted somebody like John Calipari and leave Kentucky, I'm like, now they could afford to pay him that.
They could. Cap's not leaving Kentucky though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do you maybe you think you could, you know, because Bill Self, people in Kansas, you know, he wins 12 Big 12 titles, 12 Big 12 titles.
Yeah.
But they're struggling and they want him out. You think Bill Self's going to go? I'm like, cool, fire him, man. Because maybe Bobby Hurley would hire him as an assistant and then start ripping recruits away, and he's here for a year or two. But it's like what Sean Miller did with Lorenzo Romo. I mean, I know Washington, Markelle Fultz was good, but I mean, they just struggled. They were just terrible out the gate in a way. But I mean, Markelle Fultz was worth the price of admission. And that being said, what does Sean Miller do? Hire as an assistant. Lorenzo Romar's down in Tucson now. So, I mean, it's one of those things.
It's one of the other thing with you guys, though, is you're in a tough conference to recruit. Like, you talk about Alabama, and we joke about Alabama, but it's kind of the same thing with football in Alabama. If you're a great player and you're coming, you know, if you live in the Pac-10 you know what I mean?
Nick Saban was just in Arizona trying to get an Arizona quarterback.
Yes, but that makes him smart. That makes he's a great recruiter. You know what I mean? Like, but if you're ASU and you're saying, okay, how do we compete? How do we compete? I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep talking.
Just kidding.
But if you're ASU and you're trying to compete against the UCLAs, the USCs, the Washington, and basketball, the Oregons, you know, who've got all this, you have to be able to recruit.
But Lorenzo Romar went on such a run. I mean, he had players that, I mean, guys he sent to the NBA, I mean, they were always solid. You get a guy like Mark. I mean, the one and done to me has ruined it. I get it. I understand the whole if they can make money. Either let them. I don't understand why it can't be like. I mean, because football. I mean, I was making fun of Maurice Claretti when we were talking about the game, but I mean, he tried to sue and get it. I mean, physically, physically, yeah. Some of these guys, you know, these receivers probably could go play. They're 6'4", 6'5", but it's one of those things where you're putting on weight, and it's like you're not going to play football out of high school. Basketball, okay, I get it's one of those things you can. But if you come out of high school, I mean, yeah, LeBron, I mean, okay, yeah, he won Rookie of the Year, which that year I still thought Dwayne Wade should have won it. Because
I agree.
Not LeBron, I mean, came in with all the hype. Dwayne Wade maybe not, but, oh, look at that shot. The touch there by Robert Jones.
Friendly touch.
Yeah, he gets it, makes it 53-44 now. And again, the foul strategy like you're talking about. But, yeah, I mean, when you look at the recruiting side of it, it's just – or the maturity side of it, I mean, you're not going to go play football after your freshman year of college. I mean, yeah, some guy – maybe you could, but – in the NBA, a lot of these guys that came in, I mean, yeah, Kobe Bryant, yeah, they ended up being successful. Kevin Garnett, but they still got beat.
Oh, yeah, they got beat up.
He may have talked trash from day one, and he was always one of the best trash talkers. But, I mean, when he came in the league, Kobe Bryant came in the league, it's like, you know, guys like Michael Jordan, they're going to – I mean, you're playing guard. I mean, you think of all the guards that were in the league at the time that, you know.
Oh, yeah. It's unbelievable at the time, yeah.
And, yeah, the game changed. People say, oh, it got soft and no hand check, this and that, whatever. But, I mean, it's – basketball, I get, you know, oh, well, you know, they can, people are like, well, you know, they can go off to war, but they can't drink, or they can go, you know, but I'm like, it's a maturity thing. Some of them need to go, like I say, my friend Leon Freeman, again, he went to Mesa Community College. I interviewed him in the Army. He said that if it wasn't for the Army, that he probably wouldn't have had been successful at playing football, and then he ended up getting a scholarship to Baylor. Actually got an offer from Florida as well to 2 years at Mesa Community College and moved on. But, I mean, he said his time in the service.
To counter your point, though, a little bit here, you talk about, you know, all of us here signed up at varying ages, but you can sign up at 17 with parents' consent to go into the military.
Right.
So you're trying to tell me that somebody who's 17 years old is able to go off to war and it's fine, and they're mature enough and their body is ready enough to go off to war, but you're 18 years old or 19 years old and you can't go play in the NBA? I mean, I'm just saying, and I'm not saying, you know, correlating the two, but I'm saying
basketball is different than football because
in football,
an
yes,
an 18-year-old's going to get killed.
I know, I agree in football. I agree in football, but I'm just saying, especially in football. But I'm just saying that if you got a guy like myself, I signed up when I was 18 years old. I was 6'3" and 160 pounds. Definitely not built for the military yet. But when you get there, you put on weight, you get used to it, the whole nine. And if you got an opportunity to go make millions of dollars, why you're not going to do it? That's, you know,
right. But it should be like baseball, because baseball has it right. Baseball has it right where if you get drafted out of high school, I mean, you can go, but if you choose to go to wherever, you want to go to ASU and play baseball, you want to go, like you're saying, Vanderbilt, play baseball, LSU, whatever, and play baseball, well, once you commit, you're there for 3 years. And I'm pretty sure that team still owns your rights, but you can't. Oh, no, they actually don't, because you go back in the draft.
You go back in the draft,
3 years.
yeah.
But here's a loophole to that, because covering the junior colleges like David and I have, if you go play JUCO ball, you can go back in the draft the next year.
Really? I didn't know that.
Year.
Really? Wow.
If you play junior college ball. But that's the thing, because they didn't sign with the university. But if you sign with the university, you're there for 3 years. So I think it's basketball. It would make because college basketball, yeah, it's not always great. People say, oh, it's gotten worse. Well, no, it hasn't gotten worse. It's just different. But I thought there was 12 seconds left on the clock, and now there's 0.
And now they ran it down. I think what happened was they ran it down and they weren't supposed to, so they put 12 back on, and then they just came and dribbled it out real quick.
I was going to give the wrap up there, but either way, well, that's okay.
My apologies.
Because what I'm saying, I kept looking at the clock, it's 12 and a half, and then all of a sudden it says 0, and now they're shaking hands. So, well, you know, we're off to an awesome start here at the 37th Annual National Veterans Wheelchair Games. David Heil not giving me all the information I needed, even though I'm an adult and need to do my own research. Sean doesn't want to hear excuses. But at times, a little help goes a long way.
That's why you got a producer.
Exactly. But, yeah, so, again, co-sponsored by the Paralyzed Veterans of America and the Department of Veterans Affairs. He is Sean Castle. He doesn't even watch his own TV show. It's ridiculous. But this Alabama show, I put him on camera. I did not want to get him on camera, but, we had to. So.
They got to put the talent on camera.
53-44 is the final. We're going to get out of here. The first day wrap-up. Again, go to wheelchairgames.org. You can check out highlights, everything. We'll be here all week. So good night from Cincinnati, Ohio, and the National Veterans Wheelchair Games.